Welcome to the BMI Podcast. Today we sat down and talked about confidence. We got into building confidence, our different perspectives and our different takes on what it means to be confident and how each individual can go about creating confidence in their own environment. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing. We hope you enjoy.
That book that I'm reading at the moment is really good. I don't know.
How to Win Friends?
Yeah.
No, I still have to finish my other one.
Well, yeah. What are you reading at the moment?
I've got Carl Jung. Do you know him? I think
You told me about him. Yeah. I think I actually saw not the whole podcast, but I saw bits of that podcast after that.
Oh, me. Yeah, he's like, I guess, who Jordan Peterson learned from, or one of the early psychoanalysts. He actually started psychotherapy. Well, not psychotherapy, but the analysis of the psyche.
Yeah,
he was one of the original ones. But it's just his autobiography and kind of how he got to think what he thinks. It's hard actually because I'm not big on autobiographies.
Really?
Yeah, like I
is that one that's written by someone else, right? About someone else.
Yeah, basically just a story about their life, essentially.
Yeah.
But I struggle with it because I feel like you have to get into it. Like you really have to get into the story of them. Whereas I'm used to reading like PD stuff, and then it's always you could read a chapter or a section of the chapter and still get a takeaway. Yeah. And so you're like, oh yeah, cool, there's my golden nugget. As opposed to like reading an autobiography, you're kind of just like reading their story, but that story takes a while. So it's been quite hard actually, like reading from.
Well, you won't like Steve Jobs then.
Just a big read, isn't it?
It's 500-ish, and then, but not only that, I think it's more same along those lines. It's just telling you about him, and it's. I like it. I think it's really good. Like, I like those sort of things because I don't know, like with the Peterson, it was, I don't know, too intricate deep dive on like certain aspects and like constantly, like I just found it too, I guess, meticulous. I find myself, like I pick up on things quickly, so I don't need the whole blibber blabber fucking all like about things. Like if it makes sense, like I either click with it straight away, or you can try to explain it to me all you want. I won't understand it. Like things like snap for me like really quickly, and then I'm just like, all right, like can we move on from this? Like,
funny thing is though, you almost need that to get the click. So quite often you won't get the click in the moment. You'll get the click later on. Yeah. And it's typically when you have heard something in the past, but then gone through it, and so then it's the actual going through that makes you click into what you've then heard. And so actually like now has been a good time with Peterson. Like I love the finer details. Like I'm very much a meticulous details kind of person. Like I love that shit. And it's
weird too because I would think I am, but for that sort of thing I'm not.
Yeah.
Like I don't know,
I could follow it the whole way through, but at the same time like it was still almost a theory. Whereas now I guess after sitting with it for a while, I've been able to see what he's talking about play out in life. So you can see a lot of the rules that he's got in his book, they actually start to play out in just general life. And then it starts to make a little bit more sense, and you're like, like I read it and I understood it, but that's actually what he was talking about. Whereas like I guess it's not that I dislike the autobiographies, I just find them harder to read because there's not a clear takeaway as you're kind of reading it. It's more of a understanding the person, and I like it from that sense. So you can actually understand a lot more about the person by reading those types of books. I just find them harder to read compared to the other ones.
Yeah, I think so. It's not that I'm not meticulous. I've sort of had a little switch while you were talking about it. I click on things through relatability. So when they talk about it in stories or something like that, this book does it really well. How to win friends and influence people. So like I find that way he just throws like a story in with like Benjamin Franklin and Abraham Lincoln and stuff like that, because it's in that era, like it's written in the 1930s. So like when he throws in little things like that, like that's sort of one way of diving into it, sort of, but it's like like you're saying, in practice. Yeah.
Have you read or seen Ryan Holiday, The Daily Stoic?
No.
You'd actually really like him. So he actually was the one that kind of got me.
I think I've seen him before, actually. Like I think he's popped up on YouTube.
Yeah, he would have. He is quite big on YouTube, and he's actually what got me into the Stoics and meditations. Mm-hmm. But his book, so there's the Daily Stoic, which is written like the meditations, but then he breaks down the virtues of Stoicism into their own separate books. So one is like, I think it's courage is calling, discipline is destiny, silence is the key, and it basically he uses a very similar analogy. So he'll find examples in the real world of where people have used courage or the virtue of stillness or temperance and things like that, moderation, and he'll apply them into the book and kind of give you real world examples of people that have lived that virtue. So you can kind of see it in practice. So I mean, that'd probably be one to read, or he would definitely be someone to read if that's the type of writing you like or relate to.
Yeah, perhaps. Yeah.
Really good. From a Stoic perspective, anyway.
Yeah, I'll give it a go for sure. Like, I definitely find meditation's quite a hard read, but
it is.
I think the start was quite hard, but like now that I'm in his actual meditations now, like they're pretty good.
Yeah, I just take them
and
one.
I only read like 3 or 4.
Yeah,
like,
I
so
pretty
it's
much.
going to be a while before I get for it, because
I do the same thing. You just pick like 1 to 3 a day, or you just read till you find one, and it is actually it's about reading them as if you are meditating on them. So read them just purely for as they are, the one verse or the one little fraction of that verse, and just meditate on what, if anything, that actually means for you.
Yeah.
And I find then using that as like a journal prompt to write about it, super helpful. So I read the whole thing. I read that one, the whole thing, like front to cover. And it was hard to read it like that. Second time I came back to it, I just read each verse and I skipped over anything that didn't resonate with me in the moment. Anything that did resonate, and I'd probably only get through 2 to 4 at a time kind of thing before I had to stop and just like reflect. And I was like, that was like a golden nugget. And then I was like, what does that mean for me? And then I used that almost as a journal prompt to write about something.
So would you read that in the morning, or you?
Yeah.
Because that's what I find. I'm reading it in the afternoon. I'm a bit like,
you just get lost.
Yeah.
Because of the day.
Yeah.
The day just takes over, and it just it's not one, it's almost like the opposite to the autobiography. The autobiography you can read in the afternoon, you can kind of get lost in the story. Meditations and things like that, you almost have to read as a meditation itself and really just think and ponder on one line or 2 sentences. Yeah. And it's like, that's what he was trying to say. So normally first thing in the morning, when I wake up, meditate, read a couple of verses of the meditations, and then whichever one resonates with me, I'll journal about that. And typically it's something that's happened that week, because that's why it resonates, right? Like it's something that you've been through that week that you're like, fuck, yeah, okay, that makes sense. Yeah. And then you just reflect on it. And so you're reflecting on the passage, but then you're reflecting on what impact that's actually had to you recently.
Yeah, I definitely find this new book that I'm reading is, it's actively right now like changing the way I even behave. Right now, like I'm trying to go out of my way and put some of these tasks into play. It's so like just smile is one of them. Yeah. And like as stupid as it sounds, like I fucking don't smile enough. Like no, it's true. Like and I even like notice it. I think I've even told you as well. Like I'm a bit standoffish. Like even at the gym, like I only want to chat with my boys. So I see the boys, I'm real smiley. I'm a jokester and stuff like that. And like I'm limiting it only to the boys. Yeah. And I'm just like, but why the fuck don't I smile more? Like, you wanker. Like it's sort of like I was like, see, even reading that, I was like, okay, sweet. Straight away, I was like, okay, I could probably work on that.
Funny thing, and I mean, this is actually probably a good thing that'll lead into confidence too, but I find that that's often a standoff to withdraw from like interaction. Yeah. And so by smiling with people, it almost just invites
it
invites that interaction. And so then you're engaging with people, and an easy way, it's like putting the headphones in, right? Like you throw your headphones in as a fuck off sign. Like, don't come and talk to me.
Guilty.
Yeah.
I even fucking didn't have my I'll tell you a story about this time. I had my headphones in. I didn't even have anything playing. And then this cup was just like, I was walking, this is back when I was going to Anytime Fitness over here. Yep. And I was just walking back around the block just to come home, and then like he like this Māori dude in his car just pulled over to the side of the road, like wound his window down. I was just like talking at me, and then I was just like pointed the headphones, and I was like, can't hear you, bro. And then he goes, take your fucking headphones off then, cunt. And then I was just like, can't hear you. And like I could fucking hear him. I just didn't want, because I could tell he was just like, I was like, got a ciggy, or where's this? Yeah. Like the way he was like leaning out of the window.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was like, get out of here with that like those mannerisms and stuff like that. I was just like, I'm going to get into a fight. Yeah. Like,
don't want to borrow it.
Because I was just telling him to fuck off. And like, because that's my problem, is I'll probably just fuck off, bro. Like, then he'll take offense, and then we're fucking throwing hands. Too old to throw hands now. But I'm willing to. Like, that's the difference. There's these cunts out there, like, they're like, oh, they're avoiding confrontation. So I'm avoiding confrontation because I just don't want to have bumps and bruises. Yeah. But I have zero fear of getting bumps and bruises. Yeah. Like, I just think about, I got to go work out every day. Yeah. That's my thing. I
got to tick off my 75 hard.
I don't want to be fucking walking around with a black eye fucking thing, you know. It's just, it's not worth it.
I've been actively actually trying to, and it's funny you bring up the smiling, look at people and smile and interact with them, specifically the people that I would normally look down on. Yeah. That I kind of just look away, look down, try not to make eye contact so I don't have to engage. Yeah. Now, a big one is actually having, like, when I'm walking to work, I'm noticing a lot more homeless people. Yeah. Particularly around, like, Garden Place area. Yeah. And so, like, normally I would see homeless people on the street, and I would kind of quickly shuffle, look down, and try to get past them as quickly as I can, so I don't have to get asked for money and all that kind of stuff. Whereas now I'm trying to be more open towards it. Yeah. One, if they engage in conversation, I'll try and like find out what their story is, and just because I want, like, why is there so many fucking homeless people in Garden Place? Like, why are you guys all there? Like,
and they all come to hang out together as well. They go back to their spot that they sleep and stuff, and then they wander they congregate. Yeah, and then they literally sit around and try to hustle to. I wonder if they share their drugs together as well. Probably, like,
possibly. Yeah, I mean, like, and I would always try to avoid it because I didn't want the confrontation. So I've been actively like trying to look at them, smile at them, and just actually like acknowledge them to see what outcome that has. And it's actually been quite interesting.
Oh, mate, that's another one of the points. Acknowledgement.
There we go.
Yeah, like, so that's another huge point in there as well. Like, just acknowledging people exist. Yeah. That's like, I think, in how to win over people, like how to win them over and stuff like that, is just acknowledgement, and then also talk about their name or something like that. Is one of, like, how they go, like, the sweetest word or something like that. I actually highlight a few of the nuggets, so I'll go through and like try to memorize them all. After I finish, and like, okay, there's where I'll key points sort of thing. And it was just like the sweetest sound to any man is his name. Yeah. He will love to hear his own name.
It just means
again and again and again.
You've taken the time to care.
Yeah.
You know, like, if you can remember the name, you've actually taken the time to give a shit. Yeah. And it hasn't just been one of those fly on the wall conversations where you've wanted to get out of it. And so for me, I think it's the first sign of actually just giving a shit. Yeah. And there's this one guy. I'm pretty sure he's in one of the state houses just down the road from us. And it's normally on a Thursday, because I start a little bit later on a Thursday, so I'm walking to work a little bit later, and he's always chilling at the bus stop. And when I had the inclination, as soon as I kind of saw him there, he's a rugged looking dude. Yeah. And he's I had the inclination to try and walk past him as quickly as I could.
Yeah.
And it was almost a reaction.
Yeah.
You know, it was just like, I saw him there. I knew I was going to walk past him. So I was like, shit, look down, turn the headphones down to make sure you can hear everything. And so you can be like alert.
Yeah.
Head down, walk fast.
Yeah.
And then
that's apparent to him. He sees he sees that you do that, and like
100%.
It's probably not nice as well. Like
exactly. So I was like, nah, why do I have that inclination towards people and this guy in particular? And so I was like, nah, fuck that. So I still kept the headphones down. I slowed down and I made sure I actually just looked at him, and I looked at him in the eye and I said, hey bro, how are you? And he looked at me, and the smile that came upon this dude's face, just purely from saying hello, I was like, holy shit. Like, this in itself is life-changing, because you can then impact their day, where otherwise they're normally getting all these kind of negative interactions. Everyone else that interacts with them probably thought the same thing that I initially thought. And imagine that person's day, just because you're a little bit rough, like, constantly getting frowned upon on people and judged purely
by the book, book by its cover.
That's exactly it. And so I was like, no, and then I had a conversation. I was like, how are you, bro? How's your day? Hope you have a good day. I was like, thank you. Gave him a handshake. Every time now that I walk past, he's overly nice.
Yeah.
And he's like, sup, bro? How are you? Have a good day. And every time I walk past, I look forward to my Thursday when I meet up with the bro at the bus stop on the way to work.
Oh, nice. Yeah, like, because we have a guy that's like that. He just sits down with his guitar. He doesn't even ask for money. He doesn't have a hat out. And every time we walk past, he goes, nice dog, bro.
Yeah.
And I always go, thanks, bro.
Yeah.
And like, then now, like, I realize, like, fuck, like, me and Judah talk about him, and he's just like, oh, he's always just says nice dog, bro. Like, and I was just like, but he's just fucking being nice, you know.
100%.
Like, and he's, and I don't know why. I guess the same what you were thinking. Like, why have I got this inclination to just put my head down and just ignore him, or like try to get past that engagement? Like, whereas like he's never ever asked me for anything.
Yep. And
like, he's always nice and respectful, and I even see him nice and respectful with others, like all the time. It's just like, I do wonder, like, what the fuck are you up to though? Like, I'm just thinking, like, fuck, must be nice to have nothing to do, that you go to, he just comes down to the dairy, just sits outside of the dairy.
Yep.
I've never seen him ask anyone for anything, but he's just always there, and he's just always got a smile on his face, and they, I guess, where they say like ignorance is bliss and stuff like that, and like they say some of the like lower socioeconomic areas tend to have higher rating of happiness.
Yeah.
Because they're not in the rat race as such. So like, you can get out the rat race on the other end, but there's also getting out on the rat race on the other end of just not participating in to the social norms and stuff like that, and finding whatever you want. And that's walking down with your guitar to the bloody bus stop. I haven't even heard him strum it. He sits there holding on, like hanging over it, and it's good on him. Fucking each to their own, man. Like,
well, I mean, that actually probably brings us actually to the confidence side of things. And you know, I think we're always kind of constantly, especially when you're in the rat race, or you're trying to strive. Like, I think you're in this constant state of just trying to become something, and you're always trying to almost live in the future. You know, it's like you're trying to get through now as quickly as you can, so you can kind of get to the future. And a lot of those people actually are just being like, there isn't really the future there that they're thinking about. It's purely just actually, I'm just going to sit here with my guitar,
and they're just present.
Yeah, exactly, present, exactly. And you know, I think a lot of times actually where we tend to look down, I'll bring this back to confidence.
And we'll start it off properly too. We'll actually introduce it, but carry on.
You know, the reason that we look down in the first place is typically because of a lack of what I would probably define as confidence. Yeah. And it's an avoidance of something. Whether that's the interaction, whether it's
you don't want it to rub off on you.
Yeah.
You don't want it to get the ick on you.
or it's actually more
that's for me. That's what I see. Is I just
But even so, I'll kind of get into what I think confidence is, which could kind of maybe define that. But I'll start with you first. What would you define confidence as?
Shall we start off again and be like, today on the BMI podcast, we're going to be talking about confidence.
We can just introduce the whole thing at another, once we've stopped recording, or as we need to release it.
Yeah. Okay. Sweet. Well, start again.
And cut.
Yeah.
So yeah, to start with, I'd probably look at defining what confidence is. And so, I mean, do you have any thoughts, or what does actually confidence mean for you?
For me, confidence, I don't know, I've had a bit of a weird relationship with confidence my whole life growing up. Constantly being told I'm arrogant growing up, because you probably could say, you can ask people and friends around, and they're like, do you think Aaron's confident? And most of them will be like, oh yeah, he's one of the most confident people I know. Like that's probably how I portray myself. And I guess that's in one part of being confident, is actually portraying yourself that way, even if you yourself truly aren't, but inherently that therefore is confidence.
It's the one thing you can fake and still gain.
Yeah. It's it's true. You have your self-doubts, but it's sort of they talk about it sort of it's almost like courage. So it's you're not courageous yet if you didn't do, but you still done that task, therefore you still ultimately are courageous in doing that task.
Just by engaging in it, just makes you courageous.
Yeah, exactly. And sort of the thing, having confidence doesn't mean you're the best at everything. Having confidence doesn't mean there's nothing you can't do or something like that. It's just realistically, for me, confidence has been just through trials and tribulations of building up my not self-worth, more I don't know how to sort of pin it. It's sort of self-belief. Whereas, so then I can just step up to the plate and be somewhat confident, if not, and then you'll be able to tell by the way someone steps up to the plate how confident they are in themselves. Or it's it's trying a whole lot of things, trial and error sort of things for me there. But yeah, confidence is just having a belief in yourself to do something, even if you probably aren't justified to have that kind of confidence sort of thing. That's what I would say for me confidence is just even if people look at you, you seem confident, even if you inside truly don't feel confident, that's still a form of confidence. So just, yeah.
Was there a time where you didn't feel confident?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. My whole life. I've been pretty competitive my whole life, so I've always had some trust and belief in my ability to perform sports-wise and stuff like that. Even when I got really fat and stuff like that, I still had somewhat confidence in my skill and ability. I was always quite technical and all the sports that I played, and always what I lacked for in fitness I'd make up for in the skill and ability side of things, which still kept me at a relatively decent confidence level there. Whereas in other areas, I definitely lack confidence in my self-image, just being overweight. Yo-yoing up and down in weight my whole life, was competing high end in sport through my teenage years. Then I finish, get into the best shape of my life, going to gym and stuff like that, then putting on weight, and then losing it again, putting on weight, now losing it again, and now we're back here sort of thing. But that is always probably, I would say, would be my most vulnerable, would be my my appearance and my overweight, just my body mainly sort of thing. I've always been, I don't know, self-proclaimed good looking, I guess. But I've still got pussy, so no matter what, I never had a problem with that. So that's where confidence can still help you in other areas, so
what
Even though I wasn't confident, I was just confident enough, more confident than the boys at least. Fuck.
The trick is to still get pussy, apparently. Yeah. How I guess did the lack of confidence potentially in body image, how did that relay to other areas of your life? Like, how did you find it cross over into the not necessarily the athletic endeavors, but what you said that you had quite a lot of confidence in your personal abilities. Have you ever reflected on why or how it had any correlation between not necessarily having that confidence in one area but confidence or having confidence in the other? Was that almost would that have been almost an overcompensation, do you think?
No, I always fared better than what I should have sport wise for like when I was on the heavier side. I still tended to be better than the fit people, so then that really was my own fault. Like, I really could have been the best on the field or the best doing whatever sport if I actually had some fitness about me. And that's where I would just lose out. Like, if the engine runs out, like that would tend to be my downfall during that. Like, I wouldn't really, it would just be the confidence, I guess. It would have been like definitely the confidence with women and stuff like that. Anything when it came to just appearance wise and stuff like that, just clothing, shit like that, I would just say. I never really dwelled on it too much. Like, the only times I cared, like, was when I noticed it got too far, and then that's when I was in my head the most about it. Just when you really sort of go, fuck, how did I get here? Like, and this might relate to some of you guys out there that you're sort of just cruising along, and then you think, oh yeah, no, I'll just look after myself in a couple months and stuff like that. I've got this to focus on. I don't really care about how much I weigh and blah blah blah. And like you keep sort of negotiating with yourself and just tell yourself it's all good. Like you'll sort it out later, sort of thing. And then like sort of one prime example was when I was in real estate, and I was like, oh fuck, I put on a lot of weight when I was in real estate. I was just working really hard. Just that's what I was focusing on. I was doing my development as well, and I was like, oh, I think I like put on like 5 or 10 kgs, and then like one of the other workmates and stuff like that were like, at 10, you probably put on 15 since you started, mate. Like, sort of thing. It was like, fuck. Ouch. Yeah. But going back and having a look, and like I almost had to change my photo that was on my business card when just from that year and a half in real estate. Just from that there, like how much weight I put on and how much I disregarded my health. It was just
set that realization once you kind of got to seeing actually what was kind of going on.
Well, like, because that's what I think. Like, I don't think I'm an ugly bastard. So like, I thought like I still looked good and I was dressing well. Like, so like that's the thing. I think I was making up for it in other areas to keep that confidence-ish.
Did you feel that kind of drop there? Did it take away from confidence in other areas of your life, or like I said, did you almost kind of like double down on being the best in other areas in order to kind of ensure that your confidence didn't fall?
I don't know, probably delusional, like, because I was I was fucking obese, mate. Like there's no way to beat around the bush. I got fat as fuck. Like, that's the problem. And like, I think the only thing that I had was I'm 24 and I'm a property developer and I'm working my fucking ass off, and you guys can't touch me on that realm. So, and like, I still played a bit of footy and stuff like that. Still score more goals than the skinny bastards. Like it's sort of probably didn't help, that I was sort of doing that. And like, I guess it's just the way to justify to yourself, like, your poor behaviors realistically. Like,
that actually ties in. Pause. just got to go pee. But that ties into what I was going to say.
Sweet.
So interestingly, a lot of what you're saying here, and I'll tell you what my definition of confidence is, and we can kind of see how that plays into actually just what you've been saying. Because, I mean, for me, the confidence has actually been quite big this year, from more of a business aspect. And that's purely because in health and fitness, I find a lot of our insecurities and lack of confidence kind of arise. And so a lot of what I've been looking at recently, or this year in particular, has been about how to build people's confidence, and actually what that is to begin with. Because if we can build...
It's almost half your job, right?
Pretty much. Yeah, exactly. I mean, you can tell someone what to eat, but inherently they have to follow through and do it. And the way that they'll be able to do it more and engage with that more often is actually just to be more confident in their ability to do it in the first place, which is a little bit more self-efficacy, but I'll get into that. So
you definitely went too nice to me about my calves, bro. You didn't build my confidence, my brother.
Sometimes you gotta start from the low point.
Nah, the thing is, you've known me my whole life, so that's the easiest way to chop me down. Is it my calves? This is the thinnest point.
Let's start from a level playing field, shall we?
Yeah, let's bring the brother down a peg or two, eh?
Let's just go onto the knees. In terms of confidence, what I've got as confidence is, now it's a little bit psychology-based definition, but we'll see where we get with it. Confidence is the self-assurance. Confidence is the self-assurance gained from the development and integration of ego.
Well, you look at me like that for?
Now, I guess what we can look at in terms of...
I can agree with that.
what we can break that down into, and I think it's probably better to break that down further, is, confidence, I guess, is made up in what you said originally, was the ability to, or the knowledge of your ability to follow through and do something. And that is what we kind of call self-efficacy. And so self-efficacy is a part of confidence, which is the ability that you have in yourself to be able to fulfill a task. So you need to have the self-efficacy first. From there, it's kind of about making sure that you, at the same time, the knowledge that you're safe.
Yeah.
And so that knowledge that you're safe is what we call security. And so the lack of confidence is typically one or two of those in the opposite fashion, i.e. insecurity, or the lack of knowledge that you can do something. And so typically a lot of times when we're going around and we're interacting with people, it's one, we don't know, if we bring it back to having that conversation with those people from earlier, we don't do it, one, because we don't feel safe, and there's the insecurity there, so there's the lack of safety, and do I need to fight?
Yeah.
Or is there something that I can't fulfill, so I don't know if I'll be able to complete this conversation?
Yeah.
And in that instance, from what you're saying, it was more of the safety mechanism, and not necessarily that you felt unsafe, but purely the fact that there was already a threat there, thinking that this could lead to an altercation, which I don't want it to, because I know the outcome.
Yeah.
And so there was an aversion because of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so for me, it's actually confidence is being able to engage in a conversation in that regard, so that you can have that conversation with knowing that it's not going to lead to an altercation.
Yeah, so here's where I lack confidence.
Yes.
I lack confidence in the fact that I will not withhold myself from beating some cunt up if they lip off to me.
Correct.
So therefore, it's actually, I guess, a lack of confidence and insecurity.
100%.
Like, for me, I just want to be left alone. But if you press me, I'm not a pushover. So that's how I've been raised and stuff like that. Like, I don't start fights, I finish them, is what my dad used to always say to me. Like I would only ever get told off if I punched the dude first.
Yeah.
Like, but I never did. And he even said that to me when I come home after being sent home from being in fights at school. And then like, oh, did you start the fight? I was like, no. I was like, no. And he's like, well, what'd you do? Oh, I hit him back. I was like, well, good. Like, sort of, he's like, you don't start fights, you finish them.
Yep.
I didn't finish some of them, but you just got separated and that sort of stuff. But that was sort of the whole idea. It was like,
and that in itself is a threat to your safety. Yeah. Right. Like any kind of altercation, any kind of fight is always going to be a threat to safety because no one knows how it's going to end. Yeah. In an ideal world, that's
why I'd rather just
avoid it. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. And I guess again, a lot of that is okay. Well, if we break down, and a lot of that ends up being unwanted fear to begin with, or unreasonable fear to begin with. Because not all confrontations and altercations is going to end like that. But we've made an association, they tend to be aggressive in nature too.
Especially if it's man to man. Us men, we've all grown up as men, and we know that the end result can be fisticuffs.
That's exactly it. Yeah. And I think we need to be prepared for that, but confidence is still engaging in it even with that as a potential outcome. And it's the knowledge... Again, the self-efficacy, the knowledge that you can de-escalate a situation if need be. And because you can de-escalate a situation if necessary, that in itself gives you the safety and security that you can engage in that conversation to begin with. And so I think you can always go into interactions with people, even with those that are a little bit aggressive to begin with.
Yeah.
Being not necessarily overly nice as in a pushover sense, but if you go in with just actually being genuine and inquisitive of them, and nice to them as if they were how you wanted to be treated in the first place, you can actually go into those situations from a place of confidence.
That was just an example of like a dude that you could sort of sense with a bit of hostility. Most of the time, I walk every day, so I come across everyone, and I tend to find that actually the ones that you look at from afar and you go, oh God, here we go, tend to be the ones that actually say hello to you and are perfectly fine.
Yeah, exactly.
And then all the other ones where you go, hey, and they just sort of look at you blankly.
Yeah.
And what kind of Kiwi are you?
Yeah, exactly.
Because
what then do you think confidence provides in today's day and age?
Well, for one, men in particular, I feel lack so much confidence just in all realms because of how society is at the moment. You're not allowed to embrace your masculinity. And I think masculinity tends to be related to a man's confidence truly. I would say, in today's society, it's pretty hard for men to have confidence nowadays because we're cut off at the knees. You're not allowed to go and build confidence because you have to go and do masculine tasks, and you got to go and fail and go through trial and tribulation multiple times to be able to have enough confidence to step up to the plate and do a task that you've failed at multiple times, but now you know how to do it with confidence now. That we're
as a way to build confidence?
To build confidence. So I feel like the boys these days don't have confidence because they haven't done things, and I tend to have got all my confidence from just doing things and sucking at them, trying them, and just failing. It's on one of my points here, so it's building true confidence comes from achieving hard tasks, therefore believing in oneself.
Yeah, 100%.
So that's what I think, that's where I would probably start for those guys out there that lack some confidence. Try to go and do something that's hard to do. It doesn't have to be hard to everyone. It's just got to be hard to you. And then after you go and fail something, let's say riding a bike is a good example of it. It's just a confidence thing. you have the ability to push through your legs and do the thing, but you don't get off the mark, you don't spin the wheel, you don't spin the pedals, and you don't go forward, so therefore you fall over. And then you fall over, discourages you, lack of confidence, like, oh, do I try it again? That hurt. But being able to go and do it again, and then you build more confidence the further you go. 5 meters this time, you know, like that's sort of...
Yeah, especially like I think in if you're trying to achieve something that and it's too hard, so let's just say it is riding a bike, right? So let's say you're riding a bike, you can't ride a bike, you keep falling down, and so what would people typically do with someone that can't just go straight on to ride a bike? Well, they put trainer wheels on, right? So let's get used to sitting on a bike and actually just doing the pedal.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, we've got that locked down. Let's take one of those trainer wheels off. We'll take off one of those trainer wheels. There's a little bit of instability, but you can kind of lean to one side if you really need to.
Yeah.
Okay, we're getting used to balance right now. We're getting used to moving and balancing. Now we can take off that second wheel. Now we're taking off the second trainer wheel. Okay, there's a little bit of instability, but you know the process. You know how to cycle. You know how to just continue to rotate your legs around. And you know that, okay, if you lean too far on one side, you're going to fall over. If you lean too far on the other side, you're going to fall over.
Yeah.
You fall over a couple of times.
Yeah.
Pick back up. Your parents kind of grab you. They hold on to the back of your bike and they kind of guide you, make you feel like you actually are secure, and then they kind of let go without you knowing.
Yeah.
A lot of that, and it comes back, I guess, to just behavioral improvement in general, which is if the task is too high and you keep failing, make it smaller.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's what I was meaning by like go out. It doesn't have to be hard to everyone. It's just got to be a difficult task for you. So like go and attack something that, like, it might even be just like we were talking earlier. It might be just going up and smiling at someone. Just smile at someone, say hello.
Yep.
Small little things like that. Honestly, like all those small little things will help build up your self-confidence. Like,
yeah, it's creating and developing an environment of small wins. Because if you can develop an environment of small wins, you continuously gain momentum in that call. And because you know that you can do it here, well, now you can do it in other areas. And it's continuously exposing yourself to that. And so if you can expose yourself to that degree of difficulty, and that's why I think fitness itself is probably a good microcosm for confidence in general. One, because a lot of times we get into fitness because of an insecurity to begin with. Like I said, like that confidence is because, or a lack of confidence is because of a lack of insecurity, or from insecurity, sorry.
Yep.
And the fact that, you know, we get into that because of a lack of confidence is, well, you kind of just have to turn up and do the work. Now, it sucks to begin with because you're unfit or you're weak. The first time you go into a gym, like I remember going into the gym and like I would look at the guys that would put 60 kilos on the bar and just rep it out and be like, fuck, I can barely do the bar. I can barely put 5. I'm going to go start on the Smith machine. I can't do 60 kilos. Yeah. I weighed about 50 dripping wet.
Yeah.
You know, and it was like, quite literally.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was like, but there's no way I could look at it in awe, but there was no way that I could do 60 kilos, not to mention 100 kilos on the bar. And then same thing when I completed or went through to do the marathon last year. There's no way that I could think of running 42 kilometers when I first started.
At the start, yeah.
I could barely do 5 without dying. Yeah. Like, I think I was almost in cardiac arrest at 6 kilometers deep on New Year's Day. I was like, fuck, how am I going to do 42?
And how long was that from New Year's to when?
It was about 11 months, 10 months.
Yeah.
And, but...
It's crazy what you can get done, right? Like,
100%.
And it's just like chipping at the wood chipper, you know?
Chipping away at it.
Keep chipping at that tree. You'll eventually get through it, you know?
Get your small wins. And so every time I do a long run on the weekend, that would build my confidence that I can go further. Like, I couldn't think that I could go 42 kilometers.
Maybe a bit discouraged that next day. You're like, "Ooh, can I go further?"
A little bit sore.
Then the second day, you're like healing a bit. Then you're like, "Actually, you know what? Exactly. The soreness is gone now. I think I can do that again." Like, you know, that's how it is, right? Like the pain.
Yeah.
Like when you go for those things, and that's what some people get discouraged from, the initial pain. And then once the pain heals, like time heals all wounds.
Yep.
You know, like that pain to the ego, you might say.
Yep.
And then once that heals, you go, you know what? I learn from my mistakes. That's a key one as well, like learning from your mistakes. Try that again and implement the things you've learned, and I guarantee you'll do better.
Well, that's why it's important to do something that you're actually able to accomplish. So if the task is too great and you can't accomplish it, or you keep failing and retrying and failing and failing and failing, like, make it a little bit easier. Make it something that you will still be slightly out of your reach, but you can achieve. Because if you can achieve that, you'll want to do something more.
Yeah.
Then you'll push yourself to do something more. Once you start pushing yourself to do something more, before you know it, you're actually back to what you're originally trying, but you're able to achieve that. And it was the same concept, even running. Like, even though, yes, I was sore, but the win was the fact that I now ran 10K. The win was now I've run 12. Now I've run 15. Before you know it, I'm up to 30. I'd done my first half marathon. I was like, oh, fuck. And you still get there. You get there.
Yeah.
And you think, holy shit, that's only half the distance.
Yeah.
How am I going to... You can't worry about the future.
Yeah, yeah.
It's that constant... Okay, bring it back to just little improvement, little improvement. And the more little wins that you can get along the way, it just helps to build that momentum and build that confidence, build your self-efficacy. You can, again, if we go back to the safety, it allows you to feel as though you can do this and nothing negative is going to happen. You've got the tools to be able to push that far. You've got the efficacy. You've got the safety. It helps to build your confidence. But it has to be small enough so that you can achieve it. In fitness, most of the time on what I see, especially in the dieting realm anyway, is that people jump in and they'll try and do the hardest possible diet or the hardest possible exercise that they can come up with. And that in itself sets them up for failure. And so it sets them up for failure. They don't achieve something. Well, what happens? Well, they get a dent to their confidence.
Yeah.
Their self-efficacy wasn't improved.
Yeah.
So half of that equation was actually left out of the picture and negatively associated. And so they actually ended up getting a dent to their self-efficacy and a tick for, you can't do it. Well, that doesn't help someone's confidence.
Yeah.
And so they have to readjust. And what do they do again? Well, then they stop. And so then they stop, they fall off the bandwagon, and they go through until they get a little wind of motivation again. They get that wind of motivation, they go back into the same circle. What's the hardest thing I can possibly do? They do the hardest possible thing, and they fail at it. And it's just this vicious cycle, as opposed to picking the hardest possible thing that is only just outside of your reach that you can and will do. And if you can do that more often than not, that's where you start to gain confidence from.
It sort of leads into what I've got a little note point here, was just saying, like, so like, go find something that's difficult for you to do, but what I've also put in here is like, focus on what you're good at and lean into it. So there might be something you're naturally good at and try grow on that. So like, if you're not good in other areas, why not grow in an area that you're a little bit good at? And that's what I sort of went from my time, like through business, through sport as well. It's just, all right, I'm not the best, but what am I good at? I'll become better, and then I'll be better at the guys that are better all-rounders. Do you know what I mean? Like,
how did you start that? Like, I can see, like, some people...
When you have a ruthless father that tells you shit the whole time.
For those that don't have a ruthless upbringing and a ruthless father.
Go get one. No.
Go get a mate that tells you your calves are small.
Yeah, that's it.
But no, seriously. Like
for me, it was having a strong father figure around, just... Like, you can do better. Like, and then
in the absence of that.
Yeah. So for that there, I would say, because realistically, he was absent as well. Like, it was only realistically game day I would ever hear that, and that's when it sort of spiked me, is even during training days and stuff like that. The fucking, I don't know. This is me personally. So like, this is, and I can attest that it literally doesn't always work, because I have a brother who was brought up with the exact same father and mother, and we're polar opposites. And he took to it as from the other way, fuck you. So, for instance, I'm talking about my old man used to sit on the sideline and just go, "Come on, Aaron, like, try harder. You can do better. Like, get after it. Get on the line. Push, keep going." Like, just constantly like that. And for me, like, it was quite comical too, because I was playing fed football at the time, and I was striker, and it was get on the back line. And then like he was yelling at me, and I'll just stop the middle of the play, and I'll just say, "Shut the fuck up, Dad." And then everyone on the sideline, all the parents are just like, oh my, like all like thing. And then here's my old man like like cracking up on the sideline, like smacking his knees, just like it's like, come on, hurry up. And then like it was all good. Like that was just me, my frustration because I was making mistakes and stuff like that. But like, just to ring it back to that sort of confidence side of things, is just like he was, I don't know, pecking at my confidence as I was like, I knew I should be doing better. So that actually made me try harder, which therefore made me gain more confidence and like getting better. I got better because of that. I think of those moments when I was training, you know, like God, like shut up, like, you know what I mean? Like, I'll show you, like, sort of thing. Like, it wasn't I show you, like, it was like, I guess you could put it down to I'll show you. Like, I definitely had those things. It was in the book Relentless that I read recently. It was just, it's leaning into that dark side a little bit. Maybe taking some of those chips and putting them on your shoulder on purpose. Like, I definitely think that works. If you want to get after it and be successful like I do, like this is the stuff that I am putting in place right now for myself. Some people are a bit different. If you're wanting to build just basic every run of the mill confidence, I would start with a basic sport and just play friendly. But then you still build your confidence just playing among others, learning what you're good at, sort of those sort of things.
Improving your abilities.
Yeah, leaning in on what you're good at, and then just building from there. Like for mine, I would always use those coming from a dark place sort of thing. Like I'll show you, and then that sort of I don't know how you sort of like covered over my fears, and then made me inherently become confident because I had to, like, how am I going to prove it? I have to go and do the job and try to perform.
I see. It seems pretty common in a lot of high performers anyway, that they're often fueled by their own insufficiency. Yeah. You know, and
I know I can do better.
Yeah, and almost the fear of not being good enough.
Yeah.
And that often propels them forward, but, you know, what would be or have you experienced, I guess, any downside to that? Like, what's been the downside, I guess, to that being almost fueled by your own insufficiency?
I would say the only downfall is probably just other people's judgments would be the only thing that, like, you got to get that out of your head, sort of thing. Like, which is weird. Like, that's where I've had a lot of criticism growing up and through my adult years as well. Like, oh, he's arrogant. If from a face value you sort of see me and you see me piping up saying, I'll whip your ass, and or in this or that, you don't stand a chance. And like the way that I say it, if you don't know me, you'll be like, who the hell is this guy? But then when you actually, if you hang around long enough, you'll watch me push to actually do the thing, because I've always been the guy that runs his mouth. That comes from having an older brother and just getting to hiding all the time. But I've also backed it up. I always pushed it. And then the thing is, like, I didn't win every time. I was like, come on, let's go then. I didn't win every time, but it's just being confident. And it's like, all right, let's go then. I might lose a few of them, but I more often than not, I would go and win them just surely on that mental side of things. They're like, oh, fuck, this guy's just coming at me, like, and sort of thing. Like, well, you know, like, it sort of catches them off guard, and it makes them, who's probably might be a bit better than me, but because I come in with that confidence, then I go and whip their ass in it.
I think so. That's interesting. So that ties into the second part of what I was kind of like defining as confidence in the first place, right? Yeah. And that was, okay, well, we've got that self
efficacy.
You got the self efficacy. You've got the safety. But a part of that then leads into ego development and healthy ego development and ego integration. And so
I don't know anything about healthy ego development, brother.
Just
you
ego.
might be here to
just ego.
I don't know. Some you can take it how you will, like just sort of things, like
No. Well, so confidence is actually made up of a healthy ego. You need to have an ego, and if you don't have an ego, well, then you're insecure, right? Because you don't know your own place in the world.
Yeah.
And so a healthy ego actually helps you to distinguish yourself from other people. And the best way to do that is to pin yourself against others.
Yeah.
And by doing that, a lot of the time, so an unhealthy ego would be doing so to either one, fit in with the crowd. Now, I'm not a clinical psychologist, so this definitely isn't, don't take this as absolute. This is just my interpretation of what that is.
Yeah.
But it would be the fact that you're trying to put on a mask to pretend to be someone or something else. So let's just say
That's bad ego, is it what you're saying?
That would be unhealthy ego integration.
Definitely.
So you're not very good at soccer, let's say. You're not very good at football. And so you try to play in the top team by buying the best boots.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to get found out.
Yeah.
They'll realize you're not that good as soon as you start kicking a ball.
Yeah.
You've faked it until you've made it.
And
right?
that's embarrassing. So
Completely.
I've never ever set myself up for those, because that's...
You've talked the talk, you've bought the gear.
So that's where I think that's where people would see it as arrogance. I feel like that would be the bad ego, would be the arrogance. And then like I've had people constantly go, oh, Aaron's arrogant. And then like my mate, and that's the thing, is I would have my mates and they'll be like, oh, no, he's just confident. Like...
And so like healthy confidence is then, or healthy ego integration is, and you can see it in particular in fitness. And this is something like it's very easy to witness in fitness, because you go to a certain degree, and the opposite of faking it till you're making it is kind of fitness, because you can't really fake that. You just got to do the work.
Yep.
And that takes you to the opposite side of confidence, though, where it just becomes narcissistic. And so you start with no confidence, right? Yep. You start with no confidence or a lack of confidence, which is why you get into fitness in the first place. You then do the work, you put in the work, you build yourself efficacy, and you're able to then see the results of all the efforts that you put in. You start to look and feel different, and so that builds your ego, and you become more akin to your skin. And so you can see yourself grow, you can see yourself develop, and that gives itself more confidence, right? That's the safety, the security side of things.
Yeah.
You're developing your ego there. And so what you do is you kind of check yourself out in the mirror. You can see the muscles and stuff and whatnot. And so you check that out. Now, if you continue down that path...
See, I find that as bad ego to me. Like, see, I've never been a flaunter. It's
good to develop. Because again, like, by going through that, you are developing your ego. You're developing that ego. At a certain point, you need to be able to integrate that.
Yeah.
Now, unhealthy is when you hold on to that and your every living being dies upon it. Now, I was almost there. And so if you lose it, you become nobody, or you become nothing. You're completely reliant upon that ego that you've then built. Right? And if you have it and you don't tend to humble yourself once you've got it, that's where it leads to that narcissistic tendency.
Yeah.
Now, once you've got it to be able to integrate it, that's where you have to actually come in and almost allow yourself to feel safe, because that ego was actually built upon insecurity and an insufficiency to begin with. And so, like I said, confidence and healthy ego integration is actually when you're able to take that insufficiency and realize that it was bullshit in the first place. That you are just your own human being, you're just your own person, and you can stand on your own 2 feet irrespective of what others think about you.
Yeah.
But you need to have that confidence, you need to have that ego first in order to then let it go.
Yeah.
Because without it, then you just become naive, or you become completely insecure again, and you just fall back into that same circle.
Yeah, you make a good point, like on that there, like, so like that's why I would say I would recommend like doing a sport or something like that, I know for confidence it's good to lift weights and stuff like that, but I think it's almost like an inflated ego. Like, and I've seen it with mates of mine, and they'll go and lift weights, but they still can't talk to a woman.
Yeah.
Like, and it's a prime example. You see it a lot. Like, and I come from my end where I thought it was just go and do things, and sorry, mate, picking up weight and putting it down, and is not actually going and doing things. Like, yes, you'll have better self-image, like, well, maybe not, because you might get body dysmorphia, but like you do, that's the initial start, is that you definitely get a bit of confidence in your look and stuff. But that's where I think if you want true confidence, I think you need to be going and doing things. So like, you're just going and doing one thing that does, like you say, like builds up your confidence, but then it also takes you over to that bad ego.
Yeah,
and then it's just you're just kidding yourself, because like I'll give you a quote from a mate. I won't tell you who it is, but he's just like, oh, what the fuck, did she not want to fucking talk to me? I'm the fucking shit. I can bench 100. It was like, this is like young, obviously. This is when we were 18. Yeah. But I was just like, what in your right mind thinks that woman should talk to you because you can fucking bench 100, bro? Yep. Like that's bad ego, inflated head. Like, that's the thing we're trying to discourage you guys out there to fall into that trap, because it is well, a lot of it's a slippery slope. Like,
a lot of that actually stems from an insecurity.
Yeah.
So they already had the insecurity to begin with, and that's what I mean. It's they're trying to, they still haven't developed their ego yet, because at the moment they're still wearing the mask.
They think that, like, here's my 2 cents, like, in that you should accept my 2 cents for that $10 item.
Exactly. They're wearing that mask because they're like wearing those flashy boots, and they haven't done the training. They actually haven't become okay with themselves. And the reason that they're continuing down the path of lifting heavy and doing all the gym bro shit is purely because they have the insufficiency. They haven't actually got over the insufficiency. They're just training the insufficiency. And so they're continuously, and you said it in terms of body dysmorphia, they're still just using the same insufficiency. They're just using the insufficiency in the opposite manner now. And so they're just using the training as a means to cope with their insufficiency, rather than actually see that and integrate that in terms of, actually, you're fine. Like, you are not defined by the lift that you're doing, nor are you defined by your looks. And whether or not she wants to talk to you or not has no bearing on you.
Yeah. It's also like, it's not really, like, looks play a part, but like, confidence is huge. Like, it's a huge part of it. Like, I definitely, like I said at the start, is I've never ever had any problem like with women, and I was fat. Like, and I've had mates that I was going out with in shape struggle to talk to women. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, like, if you're not talking to them, you're not getting close to them, and you're not even, do you know what I mean? Like, so you might even have a way better shot than me, but because I have the confidence to go up and actually just, like, that's the thing, is go up and just talk to them as a normal human being. Like, you don't have to make it weird or anything like that. That's how I was always approach it. I was just, go say hello. Like, just don't come in with all these like ulterior motives, like you want, like, you know, they sniff that shit out, you know.
Well, that's like, that's exactly,
and that's
the
lack
same.
of confidence. Like,
100%. Again, it's fueled by insufficiency, and you're going into it because you feel insufficient, and you go into that with a lot of the persona of being insufficient, and you kind of counteract that by being overconfident rather than actually just thinking normally and talking normally. But again, like that, if we bring it back to small steps, going up to, and that might be the hard task, right? Like going up to a girl or going up to anyone and just engaging in conversation. That actually might be too hard for some people. Which is why they keep failing at it.
And I believe that to be true as well. It's not easy. If you're not socialized, like, it's, I would say they say one of the most thing that people care about the most is public humiliation. What's more public humiliating than going up and getting rejected?
Exactly.
Like, we all have a fear of rejection.
100%.
Like, some can deal with it better than others, but inherently you have a fear of rejection, so you won't go and do it, but like it's because you lack the reps. Like, and that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not trying to discourage others from like going and working out in the gym, because I work out every day. But it's not the whole pie. It's just a piece to the puzzle. Like, you've got to do other things. So I've got another point here, sort of thing. It's like, you must become comfortable with failures. Confidence comes from failures and learning what you have done wrong, therefore being confident in what you now know you can do.
Yeah. I think you can learn more from the failure.
Yeah, so that's why I say you've got to be comfortable in failures. Everyone used to think that because I wanted to win so badly, that I was a sore winner or anything like that. I've never ever been a sore winner. It's always shake your hand at the end of it. Like, I've been taught sportsmanship and stuff like that. But I always want to win. Like, if I would go to others, it's like I would treat every aspect in your life like you want to win no matter what. But don't be the dickhead that bloody throws his toys out of the cot when you don't win, because it's all about failures. Like, I've lost countless amount of times, and I've won countless amount of times. I've got so many medals and trophies. It's ridiculous. Like, that's from competing at high level. Like, but you want to see how many of those medals are silvers and bronze, mate. Like,
well, that's why I actually think it's important, like you said, to play sport. And I think sport is a very good avenue to fail. It teaches you how to fail properly.
Yeah, it gives you the reps too.
100%.
You can
100%.
go do another game next week, mate.
Exactly. And you just turn up to training.
Yep.
Okay, well, game's over on Saturday or Sunday or whenever you play, turn up to training. You do the training, you do the reps, you go in, you try it again. Did it work? Nah, okay. There's always going to be someone better than you.
Yeah.
There's always going to be someone stronger than you. There's always going to be someone fitter than you.
Yep.
And fitness definitely is humbling in that regard. And I agree, like, for anyone to try and get in, or that hasn't done sport, get in and do some kind of sport. And I think it's super important to do. But I where I do struggle, and I think you did mention it before as well, is like when they just do it from the gym, or they just do it in health, and they're trying to get the reps in, and I see it all the time, they try to get the reps in from their diet, or from their fitness regime, or from turning up to the gym. And you just, although you can get the reps there, the reps are almost underpinned by too many different factors that will implicate whether or not you almost feel like you're failing along the way, which then inherently makes it so that you feel as though you're doing worse. That then dents your confidence. And so I actually find a lot of people struggle in associating, and you probably said it right in terms of learning to fail. Most people haven't learned to fail, and so when they fail, don't get me started on Player of the Day awards.
Yeah.
When learning to fail...
Player of the Day is good, bro. For the top dog, brother.
The player of the day.
Yeah, until they started giving it around to others because I win it every week. That's when it became a problem. Like, I reckon Player of the Day is good. You got to earn that shit. But because then now it's just Player of the Day. They rotate it through the 11 people in the fucking squad.
That teaches you how to fail.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean. Sport teaches you that. But if you haven't learnt that, and you try to apply it into, where I'm seeing it in the diet field, they come in and they try this diet, they fail at the diet. Well, they don't see it as, okay, well, I just have to get another rep in. They see it as, oh, fuck, that's a dent to my ego. That's a dent to my confidence. I just won't do it again. Yeah. And then they won't do it again until they get
that's a problem in today's society as well, is that it's just chucking the towel too early. Like, if for you guys out there, like, there's going to be people that hear this and then they're going to go, oh, yeah, they're just talking bukkake. Like, I'm just going to do what I reckon is best for me. No, don't. do the reps. Constantly just, even, there's moments you're down, like, you're just constantly bitching and moaning. Everything's like, there's going to be points in your life where nothing's going your way and yada, yada, yada. Like, I'll tell you what, if you keep playing the victim, you will always be the victim. So, like, make sure you get those reps in and just pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and get going again. Like,
well, I think a big one with that in terms of like the victim mentality is, which is one of Jordan Peterson's ones, is tell the truth or at least don't lie. Like, just don't lie. And
yep,
being the victim is lying to yourself.
Yeah,
it's got nothing to do with those around you.
Yep, lacks confidence.
100%.
Yeah,
and it's every time you lie or every time you tell that little bit or give that little bit of excuse that you know was the excuse, it's just gnawing away at you underneath. That's your confidence that's getting hindered because of it. You know, it's the little chip away, getting the knife out and just chipping away at your confidence and bringing it down. And the one lie, of course, that one lie won't do anything, or that one time that you call the victim, it won't do anything. But it's because that's become the new norm. Yeah. Because it's become the new norm, you keep doing it over and over again. And because you're doing it over and over again, you're hindering your potential confidence or the potential of who you could be.
Yeah, I've got a little like thing here. We probably should have brought it in a little bit earlier. I definitely wrote it in the wrong order. But I said, like, it's sort of along the sides of the smile, like go and just smile to someone, like, and you know, like just that itself will build a bit more confidence. You know, like you'll be more confident within yourself to smile at others. Maybe you'll actually build up the confidence to smile at a pretty lady, like that you would have never smiled to, or something like that. So
you brought it up. And especially with when approaching a girl, like if or a boy. Yep. Approaching whoever you want to approach, if you don't have the confidence to do so, and it goes in and it's always this awkward, weird alteration and encounter, well, just start with a smile. Yeah. Like that is the aim higher, but not too high. If the too high is having the conversation, don't have the conversation. Make eye contact and
say hello.
Once you've had the eye contact, that's it.
Like you can leave it at that. Like you don't have to push yourself there at the time, but make those little steps. So like what I've got here is like also another one off the smiling is like pay more compliments to people. It takes a confident man to compliment others and not make things about themselves. So like that, even if you aren't confident and you're complimenting someone, that actually shows true confidence, because people that lack confidence try to get compliments. So they try to get someone to make it about them. So like,
do you see where that fits into my little definition?
Yeah.
Safety and insecurity.
Yeah.
The lack of safety or the insecurity that you have.
Will have do I look good today?
Searching for compliments.
Instead you go, you look really good today.
Exactly.
And then because then what happens most likely? You'll make them feel good. Maybe you won't get it back in return, but might come back at a later date. It's like, and then they're like, I'll pay you the compliment back.
But even then, like true confidence is not needing it. Yeah. True confidence is you can
teaching yourself that you don't like. It's like, actually, I'm confident to give this person a compliment.
You can give the compliment and you can be safe within yourself that you don't need it back because you're actually secure. Yeah. And it's fostering that. It is. It's paying other people confidence and not searching for it in return. It's smiling or aiming a little bit higher so that you can get the small wins. Smile, say hi. Maybe they'll interact with the conversation first and all you have to do is play along the game. From there, you might be able to say hello. Yeah. And from there, you might be able to talk to people at the grocery store. And then it will become easier to engage in a conversation. It's not setting yourself up to fail in the areas, especially if you haven't learned to fail or take failure. And again, like for those people that haven't engaged in sport, and maybe it's too late that you don't give a shit about sport now. Yeah. Like, well, if you haven't learned how to fail, you need to teach yourself to win small. And so take that small win and aim up and just continue to build momentum upon that rather than necessarily shooting too high and falling all the way back down to the ground.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you don't need to do sport at a high level either. Like, you can literally just go down and join a social club of any sort of sport that will help you build some confidence. And it will also, like, if you lack in conversing with others, that will help you in that area as well. Like, I'm just talking about general areas where people lack confidence is talking to other human beings, athletic ability, appearance. Like, so it's a workout, go join a social club, and then actually try to make an active effort. Like, so if you're too shy to talk to the opposite sex or the sex you're attracted to, try talking to the opposite, and then build up your confidence through there, and I could almost guarantee that you'll be talking to them, and then someone else will hear you during that social sport activity, and they'll come in, and then they're joining organically, and then there's no pressure on you, so then you actually build up more confidence to talk to them willy-nilly, like, and it becomes a form of habit, and then you have confidence in talking to others. I'd recommend for teenagers coming out of high school and stuff like that, I would recommend going and working in retail. Like, working in retail is one of my two things that I recommend to young people growing up. Go play a sport and do a retail job. It'll teach you social interactions and stuff like that. It builds your confidence. When I used to manage a bike store, I've had multiple people work under me, and they were literally couldn't talk to me, and like they were just building bikes for us in the back, and like that's all. And I told them, like, just go out on the floor and just go help them, and just go up and ask them how their day is. And there's like, well, what? Not talk to them about the bikes? It's like, no, just go up to them and ask them how their day is. And then if they have any questions about the bike, just say, hey, I'm new to this, and come get me, and they'll come. Then I'll be able to step in naturally, organically. Just go. How can I help you? Can I point you in the right direction? You know where all the stuff are, like stuff like that, like people just, they see it as the too hard basket, when realistically the basket isn't as hard as you see it. You just need to have a little bit of, I guess, confidence, and just go and do it.
Genuine interaction.
Do the task.
It's like, a lot of people probably go into thinking that they want or need to make the sale, whereas if you actually just go in and help solve the person's problem, like see if there's anything that you can help them with, that in itself probably leads to a sale more than anything else, because you've actually just been genuine and you haven't just tried to push anything.
I always started with how's your day going? Like I'm not here to sell you anything. Like there's nothing worse than a salesman that's just like down your throat and just like, can I help you? Like, what do you want? Like, this is my approach in sales. Like there's some savages out there, and like I watch a lot of sales sort of mentors on on YouTube, and they're bloody aggressive. Like they're fucking aggressive, like, and it's American style, and they're like, oh, close anyone road. And I was just like, that shit wouldn't fly here in New Zealand. Like I know some old timers that if you came at them like that, they'd hang up on you, and they'd probably leave a fucking negative review on your thing. Like if you came at them the way that these guys, it's like, oh yeah, like not letting you hang up the phone. Like I had one of those the other day, and it's just, mate, I've said no. Yeah. Like, do you want like 5 more no's? Like, and there's like,
you probably are just purely wasting your time, and you would have got a hell of a lot more out of this past 30 minutes if you called someone else. Well,
I don't know, for that sort of sales thing, it's like, if you would have got more of a chance of me buying that product if you asked about me.
But it's not like you would have had more of a chance asking the next person on your call list.
Yeah. Like, Stop.
You've actually just wasted 20 minutes of your own time by trying to push me into a position that I'm not in.
Yeah, but like, you haven't come from the sales world. They're pretty savage on the don't take no for an answer type thing.
I agree.
Yeah, like,
but I'm coming from the person who doesn't want to buy.
Yeah. No, I've come from that sales, and I maybe I'm wrong, but this is how I operate on a moral standpoint, and this is how I butterfly effects throughout my whole life, everything I do, and like I operate morally, and I wouldn't sell to anyone the way that
you wouldn't want
to how I would be sold to. Like I couldn't be like making up bullshit and stuff like that when I see some of the stuff like that, and just like talk shit about it, like make it up on the spot sort of thing. And I was just like, I couldn't do that sort of thing. And like that's why I think I got far in my sales, and I became one of the top salespeople in Bike Barn, one of the top salespeople through Lodge as well.
What's integrity, right?
Yeah,
like that's integrity, and that in itself is the don't lie principle. It's not lying to the customer, and it's definitely not lying to yourself, and you can hold your head high and your shoulders back knowing that you haven't done that. And so you can fall on your sword. Like, you can just hold your head high knowing that you did everything you could. And it's like, okay, they either bought or they didn't. And if anything, they're probably more likely to buy from me in the future because I was genuine. Yeah. Like I was actually a good person to them, and they'll probably come back. Yeah. But I mean, probably one thing we actually haven't touched on is as well is,
I want to make a quick correction. I wasn't a top salesperson at Lodge. I was one of the top up and coming. Just, if there's one of these people out there, they're going to go and, they're going to be like, oh, I know someone I might have worked with might listen to this and they'll be like, oh,
I was better.
Yeah.
Go back to the
what
ego
colors?
part.
What colors your multiple houses? Nah, jokes. I'm joking.
It's
your
fueled,
Bugatti.
fueled by insufficiency. Is actually just celebrating wins. And I think we do it very poorly in New Zealand culture. Tall poppy syndrome. You know, it's pull down the people that stand.
Say that again. Sorry.
We do it poorly in New Zealand, which is celebrating small wins.
Celebrating small wins. Yeah.
So we want to celebrate small wins, which is essentially, you know, in New Zealand's tall poppy, we pull down the people that are doing better than us to make them seem at the same level as we're at.
Yeah.
But we need to be able to celebrate those small wins. And that's actually one thing how you can develop and continue to cultivate confidence as you go. You need to, again, if we're always in a state of becoming or looking in the future or wanting to be better and better and better, we're never actually celebrating where we are and how far we've actually come. And so then all that happens is that you get caught by this, again, that fuel of insufficiency, and that fuel of insufficiency just propels you forward, and it doesn't actually help you to build your confidence. You just continue to operate at a higher level with more or with less confidence. The only way that you can actually then integrate that is actually just celebrating the wins. And so if you've been able to smile at the last 5 people that you've come across in the street, celebrate it. As pitiful as it may sound to you, celebrate it. If you've been able to consume your protein for the whole day, if you've been able to turn up and go to the gym, if you've been able to go for a walk, if you've been able to have a conversation with someone that you didn't, if you've been able to ride your bike without trainer wheels, celebrate it. There's a reason we prop up the people or the kids when they do well, and it's so that we can cultivate them to want to do it again. You have to do that with yourself too. If you only are fueled by your insufficiency, it will only ever get you so far.
I'm guilty of that. Like, I tend to put my head down and just keep going and like go, I'm not done yet. And I'll just like, I'm so far from, I get it a lot, and I get Judith going like, babe, you're doing so well. Like, but it comes from someone who's competed his whole life. So it's a sticky wicket. Like, you know, I don't think I'll work on that.
Well, yeah.
Like it's the cruel world of like entrepreneurship, honestly. Like, and we can talk about that in another podcast, but it's not a lack of confidence or anything like that. It's more, can I be doing more? Like,
but it leads to, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
If you
so
don't
for those celebrating, so those things, are you meaning like just acknowledging that you've done that? Is that what you mean?
Spending some time in the now.
Okay.
Because if you're constantly looking to be someone else and be somewhere else, then you will never truly be happy with where you are, which is inherently, that again, by definition, is the insecurity. Yeah. You're insecure with where you are. You're not safe with where you are because you want more. And because you want more, that's what's operating you. You're filled by that insufficiency, that insecurity. And some of the highest performing people in the world are there. I'm not saying that they're not successful. Yeah. They are 100% successful. And they're successful because they're insecure. Doesn't mean they're happy. Yeah. And so I think true confidence, again, is that knowledge that you're actually just happy with where you are and what you're doing.
I just thought of a funny quote. I can cry in my Ferrari. Like, but
you're limited to the same 100km/h speed limit.
Yeah. Depends on how much money you got.
Not really.
Yeah.
But you still got to pay the fine.
Yeah, but you pay that fine.
You pay the fine.
You pay the price. I'm just joking about that, by 100%. The way. You always eventually pay the price, like, for that sort of stuff and like having that sort of attitude. No, like I definitely. It's even like into some of the stoicism that we've been both looking into, as well as just being grateful. Like I was joking before. Like I am constantly trying to talk to the other one.
Well, and it's hard. It's hard if you're only listening to the audio, because obviously like we've got a smirk on our face almost this whole time.
Yeah. So like I am joking, but like I think you got to acknowledge those moments. But I tend to, I don't know, like this is my little thing where maybe I disagree a little bit. Like for that, there I would say acknowledge those moments, but don't let it kill your momentum. For me personally, like definitely like be grateful. Like I do it quite often. Probably, if I'll be completely honest, like once a week, I'll probably have a moment of like shit. Like what I've accomplished is pretty amazing. Like I know I envisioned it because I do a lot of visualization and I've been doing it for a long time. Not even purposely. I used to just do it to myself, and my dreams have come true. Like I'm living a good life that I've wanted. But yeah, it's sort of like not letting that slow you down, because I was guilty of that and I fell for my celebrating my win. Like so I want to make the little caveat to that there. I feel like, I don't know, this is me, because I have very, like my goals and my dreams and aspirations are very different to others. So I could confidently say that 95% of the listeners would probably be happy in my situation and probably cruise through life and be guaranteed multimillionaire. Do you know what I mean? Like
celebrating the wins for me isn't necessarily about settling.
Yeah.
It's about acknowledging that you are constantly in a state of always being and becoming at the same time. Yeah. And so it's not to go away from the becoming. You need the becoming. That becoming is always propelling us forward. It's the wanting for more is human nature.
Yeah.
And I think it's healthy. You know, we need it. It's what's gotten us to the place that we're in 2023 and going into 2024 that's different from the year zero.
Yeah.
You know, that constant becoming is what's actually made us advance to the point that we are now. But at the same time, if you're constantly in the state of becoming without actually just being, well, then you're always going to be unhappy. And I don't know many truly confident people that aren't necessarily happy. A lot of it ends up being false confidence, and it comes back to that persona that I was talking about before. It's just that mask, and it's, well, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to tick all this boxes, and I'm going to do all this and buy all of this, because that in itself is the insufficiency. It's not to say that getting it is wrong. It's just to be truly confident is to know that if you didn't have any of that, you would be fine. Because that's secure, that's safe. And so it's not to say that you can't strive for it. I think it's a good thing to strive for it, but it's okay not having it. And that's also, Epictetus said is in one of the Stoics, and he was like, you know, essentially it's the notion of the fact that you had a position in the first place was the first mistake. You know, it's like, well, but you could lose that Ferrari, you could crash that Ferrari. You know, it's like, well, if you held a
that's where I think, like, I'm sitting like, why I want to keep going and I want to keep moving forward is because of that innate, like, it could all be gone. Like shit can happen. Like, who knows? Like, I don't know. Like, but something could go wrong. Like, something bad can happen. And that's where I guess I'm not confident in my state where I want to be. Like, I'm probably living where others would sit very comfortable and be like, oh man, I'm confident. Like, he's got 3 properties, like, happy days, you know, like, and like high equity. Like, it's not a strain on me. I could actually just go and work a basic job and just carry on and then focus on my happiness. Whereas for me, like,
I've got a difference between comfortable and confident. Like, there's a difference between being comfortable, and I think that's also the being in the now.
So that's where my drive is like, I'm not
comfortable.
I'm not comfortable. I want more, but not because I lack abundance. I definitely have an abundant life. Like, that's the thing is, I don't know. Like, I get what you're saying, sort of thing, and that's where maybe, like, I would say to the listeners, just acknowledge those wins. Make sure that you're, you know, tracking or sort of having some sort of self-tracking, or like, all right, I was here, now I'm here. That's what I would do on the regular. Like, shit, that's what it would be like. Oh shit, the only person you're competing against is yourself.
100%.
Like, that's what I would say as well. Like, you're only competing against yourself, and that's where I'd compare and be like, That's really the only person you can compare yourself to.
Yeah.
Is yourself. I don't think it's fair for anyone to compare themselves to anyone else because, like you said earlier, there's always someone better than you. There's always something. And then also Instagram and everything like that, it's all smoke and mirrors, mate. Like they look like they're doing better, but they actually spend all their money on going over to do that. And yeah.
Yeah, 100%. And like it is, it's not to discount the goal. You need the goal. Like I said, we're propelled, and that's what's helped us to kind of, continuously improve.
Yeah.
Is having those goals and having the becoming. We're always in a state of becoming. I think it's crucial to our development. Development literally means becoming something better or becoming different. It is developmental, right? But at the same time, we're always in a constant state of now as well.
Yeah.
And so if we give up what we're doing right now for a potential in the future, then you're missing out on the time that you're actually living right now.
Yeah.
There's so much time that's going on that you're just not even acknowledging. And so it's a constant of both. And so it's...
You would hate to listen to Andy Frisella.
Oh, I agree.
That guy doesn't want to celebrate nothing. Like, and he's also admitted as well. Like, but like, I just sort of... I don't want it to be too highlighted. Like, yes, like celebrate those wins, those small wins, recognize the growth, but don't stop. Like, I think that's what...
No, don't stop. And that's what I mean. Like, if anything, like what I'm trying to say, and maybe it's not coming across, but what I'm saying is it's both. It's a constant state of being and becoming.
Yeah.
And so it has to be both. You can't just be, because if you're only being in the now, well, then, you're giving up on the future. Nihilism.
Yeah.
But if you're always becoming, well, then you're anxious. That's anxiety. You're constantly worried about a future that may or may not ever arise. And so you have to be perpetually between both.
Yeah.
You have to acknowledge the now. And I think it's critical to acknowledge the now and work towards the future.
Yeah. Okay. No, cool. I agree. Yeah.
We both agree.
Yeah, I would go 20% on the now. Fucking get after it, boys. Come on.
And I would disagree.
Yeah. He would disagree.
But that's
let's see the results in 30 years, brothers. Let's go. All you boys out there, they're 80% in the now. Come against us 80% getting after it, eh? Come at me, bro.
I again, like... It's not about what...
I definitely agree. I'm just, by the way, like, I'm taking the piss.
If it's just about the confidence, right? If it's just about confidence, most of those successes for me are fueled by the insecurity of not having enough.
Yeah.
You can't be confident if it's propelled by insecurity.
Yeah.
If you're propelled and if you're always wanting those things because it intrinsically motivates you and you're wanting to be just the better person for you, and that is the trajectory in which that you're going, by all means go for it. You can be confident in both instances. But confidence itself is the knowledge that if all of that is taken away from you, you are not hindered and you are not hurt by it.
Yeah.
That's confidence. That's not success necessarily, but that's what I would determine as confidence.
Yeah.
And most people, I think, have false confidence if they underpin all of their happiness on the success that they achieve. Because it can't be, because by what I've defined it as anyway.
Yeah.
is an insufficiency.
Yeah.
So I think definitely aim up, learn to fail. And at the same time as we're kind of aiming up and learning to fail and do hard things 100%. Like put yourself into those situations where you are constantly challenged. Most of your growth is going to come from the hard shit that you do. And the more hard shit that you do, the more progress you're going to get, the more development you're going to have to be able to give yourself that self-efficacy to engage in further hard tasks. And 100%. Like that is where confidence is built. Yeah. But just don't think it always has to constantly be in the state of the future.
It's not a hamster wheel, that's for sure.
No.
Like, you definitely, like, sorry guys, like I was just sort of like, for me, like I come from that aspect of shoot for the stars, land on the moon. Like I'm trying to get a bit of fire under you guys. Like I want us to win, like, and that's where my little rebuttal was for that there. But like, absolutely, like small wins are huge, but just if you could visualize and actually believe that those small wins are going to be minor compared to the stuff that you will achieve if you continue and you just keep moving forward.
It has to be
one step
constant.
in front of the other.
It has to be constant, and there's not really going to be any state that you get in, especially when it comes to just pure confidence that you are fully successful or enlightened.
Yeah.
It's always a constant struggle, and the moment you take your foot off the pedal, it's fallen. It's gone. You've lost that momentum.
You lose like 10 steps after
exactly
sitting stagnant for a little bit. Like,
exactly, and that's why it has to be intrinsically
and you gotta
motivating.
Rebuild again, like, and that's the thing is just if you trust the process, but sometimes you veer off the path, just know what do you have to do again. Trust the process.
Get
in the reps. Same sort of thing. Like it's just all confidence in all realms is all built. It's not just
all in one area.
Yeah, well, it's not all in one area, and it doesn't just like happen just like that. You have
100%.
to build confidence in all areas. Yeah,
you're building confidence, and as you said, it's that continuous improvement towards something. And as long as you can always strive to be that little bit better and do just a little bit more of a difficult task, I think you'll know at least you're on the right path.
Best of luck to you boys.
And I think we can agree at that end.
Yeah.